Chosen one, why does November feel different this year? Why have you been waking up at 2:47 a.m. with your heart pounding not from fear but from knowing? Why does every sunset lately feel like a countdown you can't see but somehow you feel? Let me tell you something that's going to split your chest wide open. If you're watching this before November 24th at 11:59 p.m., you didn't find this message. This message hunted you down. I'm dead serious. Something in the realm of eternity reached through the noise of a million videos, cut through the static of your loneliness, and dragged you here. Right here. Right now. And if your soul just trembled when I said that, if something inside you whispered yes, then heaven has been tracking you for this exact moment. November 24th is not a date, beloved. It's a divine checkpoint, a threshold, a cosmic alarm clock set before you were born, and it's about to go off in your spirit like nothing you've ever experienced. You remember November 21st? That wasn't random. These November windows, they're not coincidence. They're appointments. And you've been circling this one your whole life without knowing it. But let me cut through the noise and speak to what's really eating at you in the 3 a.m. darkness. That ache, that hollow feeling that sits in your chest like a stone. You're 68, 73, 81 years old, and some nights you lie there wondering if anyone would even notice if you just stopped. The kids are busy. The spouse is gone. The church forgot your name. And you're holding a door in a long, silent hallway, a door that never fully opens, never fully closes. Just stuck, waiting, wondering if this is all there is. But tonight, chosen one, that door moves. I'm not talking metaphors. I'm not talking poetry. I'm talking about a supernatural shift that's already begun in the atmosphere around your life. You've felt it, haven't you? That electric hum. That sense that something massive is coming, but you can't quite name it. Here's what I need you to understand. November 24th at 11:59 p.m. is the expiration date on your season of silence. After midnight, the spiritual frequency changes. And if you're not positioned, if you're not awake, if you're not listening, you will miss the alignment that God scheduled specifically for you. Before we go one step deeper, I want to pause and thank every single one of you who has supported this message through Super Thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just giving, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your support, your time, your attention, it all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and sow that seed of faith. But listen, do not walk away. Not this time, not when you're this close. Type, I'm here right now, if you refuse to miss what God scheduled for you before the clock strikes midnight. Why have you been waking up at exactly 3:17 a.m. for the past 11 nights? Why does your chest feel heavy when you look at the calendar, like something's ending but you can't name what? Why does November 24th keep whispering itself into your mind when you're trying to pray? Because, chosen one, heaven doesn't whisper dates without reason. Let me tell you something that's going to shake the foundation of everything you thought you knew about divine timing. God operates on a calendar that doesn't match ours. While we're counting days and weeks, He's counting moments, appointed moments. Sacred checkpoints where eternity crashes into your everyday life and says, this is it. This is your threshold. November 24th is one of those moments. You see, throughout Scripture, God has always used specific days as alignment checkpoints. These aren't random dates circled in red on some celestial calendar. These are divine measuring points where heaven stops to assess one thing. Are you ready? Are you listening? Are you positioned for what I'm about to release? Think about it. Noah had a specific day to enter the ark. Genesis 7:11 tells us the exact date. In the 600th year of Noah's life, on the 17th day of the second month, on that day, all the springs of the great deep burst forth. Not approximate, not around that time, that exact day. Because timing isn't just important to God, it's everything. Esther had a specific moment to approach the king. "If I perish, I perish," she said. But she didn't go yesterday. She didn't go tomorrow. She went on the appointed day, and that timing saved an entire nation. The Israelites circled Jericho for 6 days in silence. But on the 7th day, at the 7th time around, at the exact moment Joshua gave the command, the walls fell, not before, not after. That precise moment. And now, beloved, we're standing at another one of those moments. November 24th, 11:59 p.m. But here's what's breaking my heart right now. Some of you have been feeling this for weeks, and you thought you were losing your mind. You've felt a strange heaviness settling over you like a weighted blanket you can't shake off. You've had dreams so vivid you wake up and have to remind yourself where you are. You've been pulled from sleep at 3 a.m. with your heart racing, tears streaming down your face, and you don't even know why. Am I describing your September? Your October? Your November? That's not anxiety, dear one. That's not your medication. That's not old age playing tricks on your mind. That's the sound of heaven dialing your number. And it's been ringing and ringing and ringing. But November 24th is when that call rings so loud you can't ignore it anymore. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you're standing in front of a massive iron door. You've been standing there for years, maybe decades. You've knocked. You've waited. You've pressed your ear against it, trying to hear what's on the other side. Sometimes you heard whispers, sometimes you heard nothing. But that door never fully opened. Until now. November 24th at 11:59 p.m. is the moment that door doesn't just crack open, it swings wide. But here's the catch, and listen to me carefully. It only stays open for those who are awake when it moves, those who are positioned, those who are ready. Because God finalizes certain blessings before midnight, not after. You want to know why 11:59 p.m. matters more than the next 30 days combined? Because there are grace windows in the kingdom of God that have expiration timestamps. Not because God is cruel or playing games, but because divine timing is precise, it's surgical, it's purposeful. Think about the Passover in Exodus 12. God didn't say, "Put the blood on your doorposts whenever you get around to it." He said, "On that same night I will pass through Egypt." Specific night, specific hour, and every family who obeyed at the appointed time was spared. Every family who delayed, well, we know what happened. Joshua 3:15 tells us that the priest's feet touched the Jordan River's edge at the harvest time, when the Jordan overflows its banks. Not in the dry season when crossing would be easy, at flood stage, at the impossible moment. Because God's blessings often come wrapped in impossible timing to prove they're from Him and not from you. And right now, you're standing at your Jordan River. The waters are high, the timing seems impossible. You're 72, 68, 85 years old, and the enemy has been whispering that your season is over, your moment passed, your time expired. But November 24th is God's way of saying, I'm not done with you. I'm just getting started. Something finishes at midnight, your season of waiting, your season of wondering if you heard me right, your season of feeling forgotten, overlooked, passed by. But something else begins. Your season of activation, your season of manifestation, your season of watching everything I promised finally come to pass. And you, beloved, you're standing right in the doorway between the two. If this confirms something you've been feeling all month, write confirmation right now. Because what I'm about to tell you next will explain exactly what happens when that clock strikes midnight and why you cannot afford to be spiritually asleep when it does. You know what nobody talks about? Nobody talks about how the hardest month of your life can happen right before the greatest breakthrough you've ever experienced. Let me ask you something, and I want you to be brutally honest with yourself right now. This past week, maybe this past month, has something felt off? Have you noticed that the attacks got more intense? The loneliness got deeper, the phone calls from your children got fewer, the nights got longer, Maybe it's your daughter. She used to call every Sunday, remember? Now it's been 3 weeks, and when you try to reach out, it goes to voicemail. You tell yourself she's busy, she's got her own life, but late at night when the house is quiet, you wonder if you did something wrong. If somehow, after all these years of sacrifice, you became invisible. Or maybe it's your body. That knee that used to just ache now screams when you stand up. The pills keep multiplying on your nightstand like some cruel countdown. And the doctor, he doesn't even look you in the eye anymore when he talks about managing symptoms instead of healing them. You're not stupid. You know what that means. Your body is waving a white flag, and you're supposed to just accept it. Or maybe it's the money. Social Security doesn't stretch like it used to, does it? And that savings account you worked 43 years to build, it's evaporating. The price of everything keeps climbing while your income stays frozen. You lie awake doing math in your head, calculating how many months you have left before the decisions get impossible. But here's what's really crushing you, isn't it? It's not just one thing, it's everything at once. Your daughter's silence, your body's betrayal, your bank account's rebellion. And underneath it all, there's this weight you can't name, this sense that you're being forgotten, not just by your family, not just by society, but by God Himself. You've been praying the same prayers for months, haven't you? And the ceiling might as well be concrete. You open that Bible, and the words that used to leap off the page now just sit there, flat and distant. You go to church when you can still make it, and everyone's smiling and singing, but you feel like you're watching it all through glass, separate, alone, wondering if you're the only one who feels like God changed His phone number and didn't tell you. Listen to me carefully, chosen one, because what I'm about to tell you is going to shift everything you think you know about spiritual warfare. The enemy fights hardest right before your breakthrough. You heard me. When hell unleashes its most vicious assault on your peace, your health, your family, your finances, it's not because you're cursed. It's because you're close, dangerously close to something that terrifies the kingdom of darkness. Isaiah 59:19 puts it like this: "When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against him." Did you catch that? When the enemy comes in like a flood, not if, but when. The flood is guaranteed, but so is the standard. So is the lifting. So is the victory. Think about it. Right before dawn, what does darkness do? It doesn't surrender quietly. It throws its final punch. It concentrates every ounce of shadow into that last desperate hour before the sun breaks the horizon. And if you don't understand what's happening, if you judge your proximity to breakthrough by the intensity of the battle, you'll quit at 5:59 a.m. when sunrise is scheduled for 6. You thought you were losing strength this week, but you were being positioned. You thought God was distant, but He was orchestrating. You thought the attacks meant you were forgotten, but chosen one, you only get attacked when you're carrying something valuable. The devil doesn't waste ammunition on empty threats. He doesn't deploy his fiercest demons against people who pose no danger to his kingdom. But you've been in his crosshairs because he sees what's coming on November 24th at 11:59 p.m. and he's absolutely terrified. Every family conflict that erupted out of nowhere that was strategic. Every health crisis that blindsided you that was calculated. Every financial pressure that suddenly multiplied that was orchestrated. Not by God, but by an enemy who knows his time is short and your activation is imminent. But here's what hell didn't count on. Here's the fatal flaw in his strategy. Every attack he sent to destroy you actually qualified you. Every night you didn't sleep trained you in spiritual endurance. Every tear you cried became liquid anointing. Every moment you chose to keep believing when everything screamed give up, you were building the exact character you'll need for what God is about to release through you. The warfare wasn't proof God forgot you. The warfare was proof heaven was approaching. And what you felt this week, that crushing pressure, that overwhelming sense of being under siege, that wasn't coincidence. There's an exact spiritual reason why the attacks intensified right now, right before November 24th. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal what's really happening in the invisible realm over your life. But first, I need to know. If you've felt this spiritual pressure recently, if you've experienced attacks that seem too coordinated to be random, write, "I felt it" in the comments right now. Because what I'm about to show you next will explain not just why the warfare came, but what it was protecting you from discovering until this exact moment. You want to know why 11:59 p.m. keeps showing up in your life? Why you keep waking up at that exact time? Why your eyes drift to the clock right before midnight and something in your chest tightens? It's not coincidence, chosen one. It's coordination. Let me take you somewhere that's going to shatter everything you thought you knew about divine timing. Open your Bible to Genesis 8:22. God declares, "While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease." Day and night. The transition, the threshold, the final breath before everything shifts. You see, the most powerful moments in Scripture didn't happen at noon when the sun was high and everyone was watching. They happened at thresholds, at edges, at the precise moment when one thing was dying and another was being born. Look at the Passover, Exodus 11:4. Moses tells Pharaoh, "About midnight I will go out into the midst of Egypt." Midnight, not morning, not evening, the stroke of 12. The moment between yesterday's bondage and tomorrow's freedom. And at that exact hour, every firstborn in Egypt fell, but every Hebrew household marked with blood was spared. The difference between death and deliverance was decided in 60 seconds. Think about that. An entire nation's destiny pivoted on a single moment at the edge of a new day. Or consider the 10 virgins in Matthew 25. They were all waiting for the bridegroom. All of them had lamps. All of them believed he was coming, but 5 were ready at midnight, and 5 were not. And when the cry went out at the 11th hour, "Behold, the bridegroom is coming," only those who had oil could enter. The door shut at 11:59. And Matthew 25:10 says it plainly, "And while they went to buy, the bridegroom came. And those who were ready went in with him to the wedding, and the door was shut." The door was shut, not locked temporarily, not cracked open for latecomers, shut, final, sealed. Now let me ask you something that's going to hit you like a freight train. What door in your life has been standing open, waiting, inviting, calling, and you keep telling yourself you'll walk through it tomorrow? What promise have you been putting off until you feel more ready, more worthy, more equipped? What calling have you been ignoring because you're 72 and you think God's timeline expired with your youth? Here's the truth that's going to wreck you tonight. You're not running out of time. You're running into time. God's time. Kairos time. The appointed moment when heaven's pen hovers over your name, waiting for your yes before the clock strikes 12. You see, 11:59 p.m. is not superstition, beloved. It is synchronization. It's the moment when eternity holds its breath. It's when the spiritual realm and the natural realm stand toe to toe, separated by 60 seconds, and God whispers, "Will you step through?" But here's where it gets personal. Here's where this stops being theology and becomes your testimony. How many of you are sitting there right now feeling like your time has passed? How many of you look at your age 68, 75, 83 and think, God's not going to use someone like me? I'm in the final quarter. I'm in overtime. I'm running out the clock. That's exactly what the enemy wants you to believe. Because he knows something you're just now starting to remember. The 11th hour is God's specialty. The thief on the cross didn't get saved at a revival when he was 25. He got saved at 11:59, hanging next to Jesus, minutes from death. And Jesus turned to him in Luke 23:43 and said, "Today you will be with me in paradise." 1 minute he was dying in shame. The next minute he had a reservation in heaven. That's 11th hour grace. The laborers in Matthew 20, who showed up at 5 p.m., worked 1 hour, and got paid the same as those who'd worked all day. That's 11th hour favor. Moses was 80 when the burning bush happened. Abraham was 99 when God renewed the covenant. Sarah was 90 when her womb opened. Anna was 84 when she prophesied over baby Jesus. They weren't early, they weren't late. They were right on time for 11:59. So when you feel that ache, that sense that you're running out of runway, that your moment has passed, that God's moved on to younger, stronger vessels, that's not wisdom, that's warfare. The enemy wants you distracted during the final hour because he knows what heaven is about to seal. Here's what God is signing at 11:59 p.m. on November 24th. Your recommission, your vindication, your suddenly, the thing you stopped praying for because it felt impossible, the door you stopped knocking on because your knuckles bled, the promise you buried because waiting hurt more than letting go. Heaven's pen is hovering, chosen one. The ink is ready. The decree has your name on it. But it requires your agreement. It demands your attention. It will not chase you into distraction. Type 11:59 p.m. right now if you're receiving this. If something in your spirit just woke up. If you feel heaven synchronizing with your heartbeat. Because when the clock strikes midnight, something shifts. And you need to be awake, alert, positioned when the door moves. But here's the question that will haunt you if you don't answer it tonight. What happens if you're scrolling, sleeping, or distracted when heaven calls your name at the final hour? Listen to me carefully, chosen one. Something has been happening to you over the last 72 hours that you can't quite explain. Maybe you brushed it off as stress. Maybe you told yourself it's just age catching up. But what if I told you that what you've been feeling isn't breakdown, it's breakthrough? What if those strange stirrings in your spirit aren't symptoms of something wrong, but evidence of something profoundly right? God doesn't activate his chosen ones with trumpets and fanfare. He activates them with signs so personal, so intimate, that only those who are truly awake will recognize them. And if you've been experiencing any of what I'm about to describe, you need to understand that you're not losing your mind. You're finding your assignment. Sign number 1, the sudden emotional wave. You've been crying at strange times, haven't you? Last Tuesday, you were watching the evening news and tears just started flowing for no reason. Or maybe you were folding laundry for heaven's sake, and suddenly you were weeping like a child. Your grown daughter called and asked if you were okay, and you couldn't even explain it to her because you don't understand it yourself. But here's what's really happening, beloved. God is performing emergency surgery on your soul. He's detoxing decades of suppressed grief, buried disappointment, and swallowed pain that you've been carrying like rocks in your pockets. You've been strong for so long, strong for your husband who died, strong for your children who needed you, strong for a world that demanded you hold it together, that you forgot how to break. But 2 Corinthians 7:10 says, "Godly sorrow brings repentance that leads to salvation and leaves no regret." This isn't depression, dear one. This is divine excavation. God is making space. He's clearing out the old grief to make room for new glory. You can't pour fresh wine into old wineskins, and you can't receive your next assignment while you're still carrying the weight of your last season. Those memories resurfacing from 40 years ago, that's not dementia. That's God showing you what he's been healing while you weren't looking. That sudden clarity you're experiencing about relationships, about choices, about your own worth. That's the Holy Spirit rewiring your perspective from human to heavenly. You're not falling apart. You're being prepared for takeoff. And takeoff always requires release. Sin number 2, the disconnection from the old path. Now let me ask you something that might sting. Have you noticed people leaving? Conversations that used to flow now feel forced. That church you've attended for 30 years suddenly feels cold. Your best friend of 20 years hasn't called in months, and when you do talk, it's like speaking different languages. You thought it was you. You thought maybe you said something wrong, did something to offend, somehow became less lovable. But what if I told you this disconnection isn't rejection, it's redirection? Proverbs 18:24 tells us, "There is a friend who sticks closer than a brother." Notice it says, a friend singular. Not all of them, not most of them. One. Because God knows that when He's about to elevate you, He has to isolate you first. He has to remove the voices that would talk you out of your destiny, the relationships that would anchor you to your past, the familiar patterns that would keep you comfortable in your cage. Think about it. Before God promoted Joseph, He stripped him of his brothers. Before He used Moses, He sent him to the wilderness alone for 40 years. Before Jesus began His ministry, He spent 40 days in the desert with nobody but the devil and his father. The disconnection you're experiencing isn't punishment, beloved. It's preparation. God is clearing the frequency. He's tuning your radio from static into perfect clarity. And just like when you're trying to find a station in your car, there's that moment of silence between channels, that dead air that makes you wonder if anything's coming through at all. That's where you are right now, in the space between stations, and it feels lonely because it is lonely. But this loneliness has a purpose. God is removing the noise before He speaks your next assignment, because what He's about to tell you is so important, so life-altering, that you need to hear it without interference. The old path is fading not because you failed, but because you've graduated. Sign number 3. The quiet boldness rising within. But here's the sign that should shake you to your core. In the last few weeks, maybe the last few days, you felt something new rising inside you. Not loud, not aggressive, but unmistakable. It's a quiet boldness. A strange confidence that has nothing to do with your circumstances and everything to do with your spirit. You're 76 years old, and suddenly you're thinking about starting something. You're 82, and you're considering speaking up about something that's been bothering you for years. You're 69, and for the first time in your life, you're not afraid of what people think. Where is this coming from? Because it's not coming from you. Not the you that's been playing small, staying quiet, shrinking back for decades. This is coming from the you that God always intended, the you that's been buried under layers of doubt, fear, and other people's opinions. Isaiah 41:10 declares, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you, yes, I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." That boldness rising in your chest, that's God keeping His promise. That's heaven replacing your natural weakness with supernatural strength. Like a tree that's been pruned all winter, you're about to bloom in a season when everyone expected you to wither. Like a radio that's finally locked onto the right frequency, you're about to broadcast a message this world desperately needs to hear. Your spirit is no longer waiting for permission. It's remembering who gave you authority in the first place. So let me ask you directly, which of these 3 signs are you experiencing right now? Because if it's even one of them, you need to understand that God is not finished with you. In fact, He's just getting started. But these signs are only the beginning. What happens next will require you to make a choice you've been avoiding your whole life. You want to know what breaks my heart? It's watching God's chosen ones sit in quiet apartments at 9 p.m., staring at the same 4 walls, convinced that this is all there is left. You've accepted the anxiety as normal. You've made peace with the confusion. You've learned to stretch that social security check one more month, telling yourself that lack is just part of getting old. But what if I told you that after November 24th at 11:59 p.m., God is going to flip the script on your entire existence? I'm not talking about some distant heavenly reward when you die. I'm talking about a reversal so dramatic, so undeniable, that people who wrote you off will have to recalibrate everything they thought they knew about your life. Listen to me carefully, chosen one. There are 3 specific areas that are about to experience supernatural inversion. 3 places where what has been down is going up, where what has been closed is bursting open, where what has been empty is about to overflow. First, peace is replacing anxiety. You know that knot in your stomach that wakes you up at 3 a.m., That constant hum of worry about your health, your kids, your money, your relevance. That crushing weight that makes you wonder if you'll ever feel light again. After midnight on November 24th, God is performing a divine exchange. He's ripping anxiety out by the roots and planting peace so deep that even you won't understand why you're suddenly calm. Philippians 4-7 calls it the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding. That word surpasses. In the original Greek, it means to tower above, to excel beyond comprehension. Your peace won't make logical sense. Your doctor will ask what medication you started. Your family will wonder what changed. But you'll know. You'll know that heaven reached down and rewired your nervous system. Second, clarity is demolishing confusion. How many years have you spent feeling lost in your own life? Confused about why things happened the way they did, bewildered by closed doors and broken promises, disoriented by a world that moved on without asking your permission. You've been living in a fog so thick you can barely see your own purpose anymore. But Proverbs 3-6 declares, "In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths." That word direct, it means to make straight, to remove obstacles, to clear the way. After this threshold, the fog lifts. Suddenly you'll understand why that door had to close, why that person had to leave, why that dream had to die. The confusion that's haunted you for decades evaporates, and in its place comes crystalline clarity about who you are and why you're still here. Third, provision is crushing lack. I need you to hear this with your whole chest. The financial stranglehold on your life, the constant calculation of every dollar, the humiliation of having to choose between medicine and groceries. That season is ending. Not gradually, not eventually, abruptly. After November 24th, God is opening a vein of provision that doesn't depend on your age, your resume, or your retirement account. Philippians 4:19 promises, "My God shall supply all your need according to his riches in glory." Notice it doesn't say according to the economy or according to your past income. It says according to his riches, and heaven's economy doesn't suffer recessions. Now let me show you the biblical pattern, because this isn't new. This is how God has always operated with his chosen ones. Look at Job. This man lost everything: his children, his wealth, his health, his reputation. For chapters and chapters, he sat in ashes, scraping his sores with broken pottery, while his friends told him God had abandoned him. But Job 42:10 records the moment everything flipped. The Lord restored Job's losses when he prayed for his friends. Indeed, the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Twice as much. Not equal replacement. Double portion. That's reversal. Look at Joseph. 17 years old with dreams of greatness, then 13 years in slavery and prison, forgotten, abandoned, written off. But Genesis 41-14 says, "Then Pharaoh sent and called Joseph, and they brought him quickly out of the dungeon. One day he's rotting in a cell, the next day he's ruling an empire." That's not promotion, that's reversal. And look at Anna. Luke 2:36 tells us she was 84 years old, widowed after only 7 years of marriage. For 77 years she lived in the temple, praying, fasting, believing for something she couldn't see. Everyone thought she'd wasted her life. But when baby Jesus was brought to the temple, she was the first to prophesy over the Messiah. At 84, her entire existence made sense. That's reversal. You feel forgotten, don't you? Like the world moved on and left you in the waiting room of irrelevance. Your kids are too busy to call. The church stopped asking for your opinion. Society sees your grey hair and assumes you're done contributing. But November 24th marks your transition from private suffering to public recognition. What God has been building in you during those silent years is about to be unveiled. And the same people who overlooked you will be the ones who can't stop talking about what God did in your life. But here's what I need you to understand, and this is urgent. There is one mistake that can cancel the entire reversal. One decision you can make between now and midnight on November 24th that will slam the door shut on everything I just described. Peace, clarity, provision, all of it can evaporate if you make this critical error. Type I, receive it right now if you refuse to sabotage your own miracle. Because what I'm about to reveal in the next part will determine whether you walk through that door or watch it close in your face forever. Listen to me very carefully, chosen one. What I'm about to tell you could be the difference between walking through the door God is opening and watching it slam shut in your face forever. There is one mistake, just one, that will cancel everything heaven has been setting up for you. And the terrifying part? Most people make this mistake in the final hours without even realizing it. You want to know what it is? Returning to your old emotional patterns. I'm talking about fear. I'm talking about negativity. I'm talking about the complaining, the doubting, the rehearsing of everything that went wrong in your life. And beloved, if you slip back into those frequencies tonight, if you let your tongue speak defeat, if you let your mind spiral into worry, if you let bitterness creep back into your heart, you will spiritually disqualify yourself from what's waiting on the other side of midnight. Do you hear what I'm saying? This isn't about behavior. This is about spiritual positioning, and your emotional atmosphere determines whether heaven can reach you or not. Think about Lot's wife in Genesis 19. The angels literally grabbed her family by the hand and pulled them out of Sodom. Deliverance was guaranteed. Salvation was certain. All she had to do was keep moving forward. But verse 26 tells us exactly what happened. But his wife looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. One look back, that's all it took. One moment of longing for what God had already delivered her from, and she froze in place permanently. The door that was wide open sealed shut in an instant because she couldn't let go of the past. Chosen one, the door to your next season is halfway open right now, halfway. But if you look back, if you return to the old conversations, the old emotions, the old patterns that kept you stuck for 70, 80 years, that door will seal. And I'm not being dramatic, I'm being prophetic. You've spent decades trapped in certain thought patterns, haven't you? Waking up every morning, rehearsing your regrets, replaying the betrayals, reliving the losses. Your mind has worn grooves so deep that negativity flows through them like water down a well-traveled path. And the enemy knows this. He's counting on it. He's betting everything that in these final hours before November 24th at midnight, you'll slip back into those familiar ruts. Because if you do, you're done. Not forever, but for this window, for this appointed time, for this divine checkpoint that will not come around again. But here's what I need you to understand, and this is especially for my seniors who feel like you don't have the strength you used to have. This is for the 5-year-old sitting in that chair wondering how you can possibly do anything significant at your age. This is for the 2-year-old whose body aches, whose energy is limited, whose physical strength has faded. Obedience is internal, not physical. God is not asking you to run a marathon. He's not asking you to build a ministry or lead a crusade. What he's asking from you right now, in these hours before midnight, is something far more powerful than physical action. He's asking for spiritual alignment. He's asking you to guard your atmosphere. Proverbs 4:23 says it plainly. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Above all else. Not some things, not most things. Everything flows from the condition of your heart, from the atmosphere of your spirit. So let me be direct with you. What are you speaking over your life right now? What are you meditating on in the quiet hours? What frequency is your soul vibrating at? Because if you're sitting there complaining about your health, rehearsing your loneliness, dwelling on how your children don't call enough, speaking defeat over your finances, you are actively sealing the door that God is trying to open. Your tongue has power, beloved. Proverbs 18:21 declares, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue," not just influence, power. Your words don't just describe your reality, they create it. And if you spend these final hours speaking the same dead words you've spoken for decades, you will wake up on November 25th in the same dead situation. But if you will guard your atmosphere, if you will refuse to let negativity flow from your mouth, refuse to let fear dominate your thoughts, refuse to look back at what God has already delivered you from, something supernatural happens. The door doesn't just open, it swings wide. Type "I'm alert" if you're listening closely to what I'm saying. Here's the intensity you need to feel right now. Your next season, everything God has been preparing for you, every prayer that's been stored in heaven's bowls, every tear He's collected, every year of waiting that's about to be redeemed, all of it depends on what you do in these final hours. Not days, not weeks, hours. Guard your spirit like your life depends on it, because spiritually, it does. Don't pick up that phone to gossip. Don't turn on that news channel that floods your soul with fear. Don't rehearse that old argument with your sister from 15 years ago. Don't let your mind wander back to the marriage that failed, the business that collapsed, the dreams that died. Guard your atmosphere. Guard your tongue. Guard your spirit. The enemy is prowling right now, and he knows exactly which buttons to push. He knows which memories trigger you. He knows which fears paralyze you. He knows which regrets will pull you back into the old patterns, and he's going to hit you with all of it before midnight. But you are not the same person you were yesterday. You are not the victim of your past. You are the chosen one standing at a threshold, and what you do next will determine whether you walk through or watch it close. So here's my question for you, and it's the question that will carry us into what happens after midnight strikes. If the door is already halfway open, and your emotional atmosphere is the only thing standing between you and your breakthrough, what are you going to do differently in the next few hours? Chosen one, before you move on, let me tell you what's happening right now in the unseen realm. Right this second, while you're sitting there watching this screen, there's a thinning, a ripping, a sacred tear in the fabric between heaven and earth that happens only once in a generation, and it's happening over your life tonight. You felt it, didn't you? That strange chill that ran down your spine 3 nights ago. That déjà vu moment yesterday when you walked past the kitchen table and suddenly remembered your mother's hands folded in prayer. That wave of emotion that hit you out of nowhere while you were doing absolutely nothing. That wasn't your imagination, beloved. That was the veil getting thinner. See, the Bible tells us in Isaiah 64:1, "Oh, that you would rend the heavens, that you would come down." But what most people don't understand is that there are moments, rare, sacred moments, when God does exactly that. When heaven bends so close to earth that the membrane between the two becomes translucent, almost touchable. And the night before November 24th, that's one of those moments. But here's what breaks my heart. Most people feel it and dismiss it. They feel the shift and call it anxiety. They sense the presence and label it loneliness. They're standing in the very throne room of the Almighty, and they think they're just having another sleepless night. Not you. Not tonight. You see, there's something about your age, your season, that makes you more sensitive to this thinning than anyone else. The younger generation is too distracted, too plugged in, too loud to hear the whisper. But you've lived long enough to know the difference between the noise of the world and the voice of eternity. You've buried enough people to know what the edge of forever feels like. You've walked through enough valleys to recognize when the atmosphere changes. You've spent enough nights alone to distinguish between emptiness and holy anticipation. And right now, in this very moment, the air around you is humming with something you can't see, but you absolutely can feel. Think about what happened to Jacob in Genesis 28. He was running, alone, exhausted. He laid his head on a rock in the middle of nowhere and fell asleep. But that nowhere place, God called it Bethel, the house of God. And when Jacob woke up, he said something that should shake you to your core. "Surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it." How many times have you been standing in a Bethel moment and didn't know it? How many times has heaven been inches from your face and you thought you were just going through another ordinary day? But here's the truth that's going to change everything. It's like God dimmed the lights in your life so one flame could shine brighter His. All those relationships that fell away, dimmed lights. That career that ended, dimmed lights. Those dreams that died, dimmed lights. You thought you were losing everything, but God was removing the distractions. He was turning down the volume on the world so you could finally hear what He's been trying to tell you your entire life. And tonight, this very night, before November 24th, that one flame is burning so bright you can't miss it anymore. But something else happens when the veil thins, and almost no one knows how to respond. When the barrier between heaven and earth becomes this fragile, it's not just God who notices. The enemy notices too. That's why the spiritual warfare has been so intense lately. That's why you've been hit with doubt, fear, confusion, physical pain. Hell knows what's about to break through, and it's throwing everything it has at you to make you turn away before midnight strikes. Listen to me carefully, beloved. 2 Corinthians 4:18 tells us, "We look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal." What you're seeing right now with your natural eyes, the empty house, the aching body, the silent phone, the unpaid bills, that's temporal. That's the seen world. But what's happening in the unseen realm? That's eternal. That's what matters. That's what lasts. And I need you to understand something that might terrify you and liberate you at the same time. Heaven is closer to you tonight than it's been in years. Not because you're dying, because you're awakening. The proximity you're feeling isn't the closeness of death, it's the nearness of destiny. God isn't calling you home to heaven, He's calling heaven down to you, right here, right now, in your living room, in your bedroom, in whatever space you're occupying at this exact moment. Type "I feel it" if the atmosphere around you is shifting. If something in your spirit is confirming that this isn't just another message, if you know deep in the marrow of your bones that something massive is about to break open. Because what I'm about to show you next will explain why you've felt like a stranger in your own life for so long, why you've never quite fit, why you've always known there was something more. The veil is thin, chosen one, and you're about to see through it. You know what nobody tells you about getting old? It's not the wrinkles or the pills or even the loneliness that cuts the deepest. It's the silence, the deafening, soul-crushing silence, when you realize that life has learned to move around you instead of with you. But chosen one, let me tell you something that's going to shake the foundations of that silence. When God interrupts your life, He is rearranging the spiritual furniture of your future. And November 24th, that's not just another day on your calendar that you'll forget by noon. That's the day heaven crashes into your timeline like lightning splitting a midnight sky. Listen to me carefully. Think back to the moments when everything changed. Not the good moments I'm talking about, the moments that broke you open. The phone call at 4 a.m. when they told you your spouse was gone. The doctor's office when they said the word cancer and the room started spinning. The moment your child walked out and never came back. The night you sat alone in your kitchen and felt God tug at your heart for the first time in 40 years. Those weren't accidents, beloved. Those were divine interruptions. See, the world calls them tragedies. The world calls them bad timing. But heaven calls them doorways, portals, moments when the veil between the temporal and the eternal gets so thin that God can reach through and grab hold of your destiny. Divine interruption feels like someone knocking on your door at night. You weren't expecting it. Your house is a mess. You're not dressed for company, but you know, deep in your bones, you need to answer. Because whoever's on the other side of that door has something you've been waiting for your whole life. And right now, at this very moment, can you feel it? That knock, that trembling in your spirit. That's not your blood pressure. That's not anxiety. That's the sound of heaven's fist pounding on the door of your ordinary life, demanding entry. Think about Moses. 80 years old, tending sheep in a desert, convinced his best days were fossilized in Egyptian sand. And then God interrupts him with a burning bush. Exodus 3-4 says, "When the Lord saw that he had gone over to look, God called to him from within the bush." God didn't send a letter, didn't schedule an appointment. He interrupted Moses Tuesday afternoon and turned it into the launching pad for the greatest deliverance in human history. You think God's done interrupting lives? You think he retired from the miracle business when you hit 70? Or what about Sarah? 90 years old. 90. Her womb was dead. Her dreams were buried. Her laughter had turned bitter. But Genesis 21:1 declares, "Now the Lord was gracious to Sarah, as he had said, and the Lord did for Sarah what he had promised." God interrupted her biology, interrupted her timeline, interrupted everything the world said was possible, and gave her Isaac laughter in her old age. Your age is not your disqualification, it's your divine setup. But here's what's going to cut you to the quick. How many interruptions have you ignored? How many times has God knocked and you pretended you weren't home? How many burning bushes have you walked past because you were too busy, too tired, too convinced that God doesn't interrupt lives like yours anymore? I need you to be honest with yourself right now, brutally honest. When was the last time you let God interrupt your routine? When was the last time you stopped long enough to hear him speak? When was the last time you said, "Yes, Lord," before you even knew what he was asking? Because here's the devastating truth that should wake you up like ice water. Every ignored interruption is a missed appointment with your destiny. On November 24th, God isn't just speaking, he's stepping into your timeline. He's moving from the eternal realm into your living room, into your bedroom, into that silent space where you've been waiting and wondering and slowly dying inside. This isn't theory, beloved. This is happening whether you're ready or not. The question is, will you answer the door? Think about what God interrupted in your life before. That moment your spouse died, devastating, yes. But didn't it also break you open in a way that made you finally seek God's face? That diagnosis, terrifying, absolutely. But didn't it teach you to pray prayers you'd never prayed before? That loss, that betrayal, that midnight moment when everything fell apart, wasn't that also when you discovered that God was closer than your next breath? Your delay is about to be interrupted by divine acceleration. Everything you've been waiting for, peace, purpose, provision, the answer to prayers, you stopped praying because hope started to hurt. It's all been stacking up in the realm of the spirit, accumulating, building pressure. And November 24th is the moment when the dam breaks and heaven's intervention floods your natural circumstances. But you have to be positioned. You have to be listening. You have to be willing to let God interrupt your plans, your comfort, your carefully constructed routine. Proverbs 16:9 says, "In their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps." Your course is about to be interrupted. Your steps are about to be divinely redirected. If God has ever interrupted your life before, if you know what it feels like when heaven invades earth and nothing is ever the same again, write, "Yes, Lord," right now. Because what's coming in the next few minutes will explain exactly what God is interrupting in your life and why November 24th at 11:59 p.m. is the deadline for your greatest spiritual breakthrough. There's something rolling toward you right now, chosen one. You can't see it yet, you can't hear it, but it's coming. Unstoppable, inevitable, relentless as the tide itself. And here's what's going to shake you to your core. Your name is written on that wave, not penciled in, not scribbled as an afterthought, engraved, carved deep into the fabric of what heaven is releasing toward your life right now. And nothing, I mean nothing, can turn it back. I know what you're thinking. I've heard this before. I've hoped before. I've believed before. And I'm still here, still alone, still waiting. But listen to me carefully, beloved. What's coming isn't like the other times. This isn't another maybe. This isn't another someday. This is the wave that carries your name, and it's already left the shore of eternity. Let me speak to what's really crushing you right now. That regret that sits in your chest like an anchor, those lost years you can't get back. You look at the calendar and see decades that slip through your fingers like water. 40 years at a job that never appreciated you. 30 years in a marriage that ended in betrayal. 20 years raising children who don't call anymore. And now you're 73, 78, 82 years old, sitting in a house that echoes with silence, wondering if your entire life was just wasted. You feel invisible, don't you? Like the world moved on without asking your permission. Like you've become background noise in your own story. Your children are too busy. Your friends are gone. The church you served faithfully for decades doesn't even notice when you're not there. You've become a ghost in your own life, haunting rooms that used to be filled with purpose. But here's the truth that's about to wreck everything you thought you knew about your situation. God never lost track of you. Not for 1 second. Not for one breath. Isaiah 49:16 says, "See, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands." Engraved. Not written. Not noted. Engraved. Do you understand what that means? It means your name is scarred into the very hands of God himself. Every time he moves, he sees your name. Every time he acts, he feels your name. You think you're forgotten? Your name is a permanent mark on the creator of the universe. And right now, at this very moment, he's looking at that mark. He's feeling that scar. And he's releasing something that's been building for years, maybe decades. Something so specific to your pain, so perfectly designed for your wound, that when it arrives, you won't be able to deny that God sees you. This wave, this blessing, this intervention, this divine collision with your circumstances, it's not coming because you earned it. It's not coming because you finally got good enough. It's coming because your name is written on the tide, and nothing can erase it. But here's what most people don't understand about how God moves. Waves don't arrive alone. They never do. Every wave that rolls toward the shore pulls something back with it when it retreats. Every single time. And what's coming toward you right now? It's not just bringing something. It's taking something away. God is not just delivering a blessing to you, chosen one. He is removing a burden from you. That depression that's followed you for 30 years, the wave is pulling it back out to sea. That financial curse that's haunted your family for 3 generations, the tide is dragging it away. That loneliness that makes you cry at 3 a.m., that shame that whispers you're not enough, that fear that you've wasted your entire life, the wave is taking it back. Psalm 103:12 says, "As far as the east is from the west, so far has he removed our transgressions from us." But it's not just sin he's removing. It's pain, it's regret, it's the weight you've carried so long you forgot what it feels like to stand up straight. You know what breaks my heart? It's watching people stand on the shore, feeling the water touch their feet, and then step back. They feel the wave coming, and they retreat. They sense God moving, and they convince themselves it's not for them. They're so used to disappointment that they'd rather stay dry than risk getting swept up in what heaven is releasing. But not you, not tonight. Not after everything you've survived to get to this moment. This wave has your name on it, and when it crashes over your life, when it floods every dry place, every dead place, every place you thought would never bloom again, you're going to remember this moment. You're going to remember the night heaven told you that you weren't forgotten, that your years weren't wasted, that your pain had purpose. If you need God's comfort tonight, if you need him to remind you that he sees you, that he knows your name, that he's been preparing this moment specifically for you, type, "Lord, I need you right now," because the wave is already moving. The question isn't whether it's coming. The question is, will you be standing on the shore when it arrives, or will you have walked away one more time, convinced that miracles are for everyone else but you? But something's changing in the atmosphere, beloved. Can you feel it? That pressure building. That sense that we're standing on the edge of something massive. Because what I'm about to tell you next will explain exactly what's being removed from your life and why the enemy is fighting so hard to keep you from hearing it. Listen to me very carefully, chosen one. What I'm about to reveal will explain every single thing that's been happening to you in the last 72 hours. The restlessness, the memories flooding back, the sudden weight on your chest at 3 a.m. That's not anxiety, that's not your medication. That's the sound of heaven administering your final test. Before any gate opens, the guards check your identity. Before any king receives his crown, he must prove he can carry its weight. And right now, right this very second, you are standing in the testing chamber. And most of you don't even realize it. God is measuring something in you. Not your perfection, not your church attendance, not how many Bible verses you memorized 50 years ago. He's measuring your positioning. Are you spiritually positioned to receive what he's about to release? Because, beloved, elevation always comes after separation. Think about Abraham. Genesis 22. God asked him to sacrifice Isaac, the very son he'd waited 100 years to hold. Can you imagine that torture? The test wasn't about the knife. It was about whether Abraham would obey when obedience made absolutely no sense. When it looked like God was contradicting his own promise. When every logical bone in his body screamed, no! That's what real testing looks like. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's quiet, subtle, and devastatingly personal. Right now, some of you are being tested through your patience. You've been waiting for breakthrough for so long that hope itself has become exhausting. Every morning you wake up and think, maybe today. And every night you go to bed disappointed. Again, the test is this. Will you keep believing when the waiting has gone on longer than your faith feels it can endure? Others are being tested through focus. The enemy is throwing every distraction at you, old grudges resurfacing, family drama erupting out of nowhere, sudden health scares that consume your thoughts. The test is this. Will you stay locked on what God said, or will you let the noise drown out his voice? But here's where it cuts deepest. Some of you are being tested through worthiness. You lie in bed at night replaying your failures like a horror film on repeat. That divorce in 1987. That business that collapsed. Those kids who won't return your calls. The affair nobody knows about. The abortion you've carried for 43 years. And the enemy whispers the same poison every single night. You think God's going to use someone like you after what you did? Let me stop you right there. 2 Corinthians 12:9. My grace is sufficient for thee, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Did you catch that? Perfect in weakness. Not in your resume, not in your clean record. In your weakness, your past is not your disqualification. Your scars are your credentials. But there's another test happening that nobody's talking about. The test of time. You're 76 years old, 82, 68, and somewhere deep in your soul, you've accepted the world's lie that your season is over, that God uses young people for big things and old people for, what? Sitting in recliners waiting to die? Moses was 80 when he split the Red Sea. Sarah was 90 when she birthed nations. Caleb was 85 when he said, "Give me this mountain." Your age isn't a limitation, it's a weapon. You have something the young don't have. Tested faith, proven endurance. Decades of watching God show up when the odds said he wouldn't. Time didn't run out on you, beloved. Time has been preparing you. But here's the test within the test, the one that's more dangerous than all the others combined. It's the test of your emotional reactions. Old memories are resurfacing right now. That trauma from childhood. That betrayal from 15 years ago. That moment of shame you thought you'd buried. They're all coming up, and you think it's random. It's not random, it's strategic. The enemy knows that November 24th at 11:59 p.m. is a divine checkpoint, and he's pulling out every weapon in his arsenal to keep you emotionally unstable, spiritually distracted, and mentally exhausted. Because if you're drowning in yesterday's pain, you can't position yourself for tomorrow's promise. Job understood this. He lost everything in a single day: his children, his wealth, his health, his reputation. And his own wife told him to curse God and die. But Job 13:15 records his response. "Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him." That's not optimism, that's positioning. That's a man who refused to let his emotions override his faith. Your spirit is being graded right now, not on how you feel, but on where you stand. Not on your emotional state, but on your spiritual posture. So let me ask you something that's going to cut straight to your soul. When the midnight hour strikes and that gate swings open, will you be standing in position to walk through it? Or will you still be wrestling with ghosts from 1978? Because what's coming after this test, what's waiting on the other side of November 24th at 11:59 p.m., will require every ounce of spiritual authority you've been building in the secret place. Type "I'm ready" right now if you refuse to fail this test. The guards are checking your identity. The question is, do you remember who you really are? You know what the cruelest lie the devil ever whispered to seniors in America is? It's not that you're too old, it's that you're done. That whisper that comes at 4 a.m. when you're staring at the ceiling, wondering if your best years are rotting in the rearview mirror. That voice that hisses when you see younger people running ministries, starting businesses, changing the world while you're clipping coupons and counting pills. That suffocating feeling that God used you up, squeezed every drop of purpose out of your bones, and now you're just waiting. Waiting for heaven. Waiting to be forgotten. Waiting to die. But what if I told you that feeling, that ache of irrelevance burning in your chest right now is not the voice of God? What if that's the enemy's last-ditch effort to silence you before you step into the most dangerous season of your entire life? Listen to me carefully, chosen one. You are not retiring from purpose. You are being reactivated for it. See, the world looks at your 72 years, your 86 years, your 91 years, and sees decline. They see medication bottles and reading glasses and a body that moves slower than it used to. But heaven sees something the natural eye cannot comprehend. Heaven sees a warrior who's been through boot camp for 8 decades. Heaven sees a prophet who's learned to hear God's voice through 50 years of static. Heaven sees someone who's been refined in fires that would have cremated weaker souls. You're not at sunset, beloved. You're at second sunrise, and I can prove it to you straight from Scripture. You ready? Because this is about to wreck every lie you've believed about your expiration date. Moses was 80 years old, 80, when God met him at that burning bush and said, "Now we begin. Not now you rest. Not thanks for your service. You're dismissed." God said, "I'm about to use you to split seas, topple empires, and deliver millions." Exodus 7:7 tells us plainly, Moses was 80 years old and Aaron 83 when they spoke to Pharaoh. His greatest chapter didn't start until most people today would be in assisted living. Anna the prophetess, she was 84 years old, spending day and night in the temple, and everyone probably thought, "Sweet old Anna, bless her heart, still showing up." But when baby Jesus walked through those doors, she was the first to recognize the Messiah and proclaim redemption to all Jerusalem. Luke 2:36-38. 84 years of preparation for one prophetic moment that's still echoing 2,000 years later. And Abraham? Don't even get me started. God promised him nations when he was 75, but Isaac wasn't born until Abraham hit 100 years old. Genesis 21:5. 100. His body was as good as dead, Romans 4:19 says. But God specializes in resurrecting what the world has written off. You see the pattern. God's greatest assignments don't go to the untested, they go to the proven. And you, sitting there thinking you've missed your moment, you haven't missed anything. You've been marinating in wisdom, soaking in experience, building spiritual muscle that the young ones don't even know exists. What you thought was decline was actually preparation. Every financial crisis that didn't break you that was training in supernatural provision. Every health scare that didn't kill you that was boot camp in faith over fear. Every betrayal that should have made you bitter, but somehow you still chose forgiveness. That was God building the kind of character that can carry His glory without combusting. You think you've been sidelined? No. You've been in the hyperbaric chamber, and now you're about to be deployed. But here's where it gets urgent, and I need you to lean in close. November 24th at 11:59 p.m. is not just a date I pulled out of thin air. It's a divine marker, a threshold. And on the other side of midnight, God is releasing late-hour callings to those who've been faithful in the waiting room. I'm talking about assignments so specific, so tailored to your exact combination of scars and stories, that no one else on planet Earth can fulfill them. That granddaughter who's drowning in depression, she doesn't need a therapist, she needs your testimony of how you survived the pit. That neighbor who just got the diagnosis, they don't need a doctor's speech, they need your witness of God's healing power. That young pastor who's about to quit, they don't need another conference, they need your decades of proven faithfulness to remind them God never fails. Your age isn't your limitation, it's your authorization. You've earned the right to speak with authority because you've got the receipts, you've got the scars. You've got the track record of watching God show up when the bank account said zero, when the doctor said terminal, when the marriage said over, when hell said you're finished. And right now, in this very moment, heaven is looking at you and saying, it's time. Time to stop apologizing for taking up space. Time to stop believing the lie that your season is over. Time to step into the late-hour calling that's been burning in your bones since before you even knew what to call it. If you believe, if somewhere deep in your spirit you know that God still has a purpose for you, that your story isn't over, that your greatest chapter is about to be written, then type it right now, My Purpose Lives, because what I'm about to reveal next will show you the exact assignment God is placing on your life this season. And trust me, you're going to need every single year of experience you've got to handle it. Beloved chosen one, as we reach the end of this sacred moment together, I need you to remember 3 eternal truths that will anchor your soul as November 24th approaches. First, you are not too old, too late, or too forgotten. Moses at 80, Anna at 84, Abraham at 100. These weren't exceptions to God's pattern. They were examples of it. Your age is not your disqualification. It's your diploma from Heaven's University of Faithfulness. Second, what you've called decline has actually been preparation. Every tear, every battle, every year you thought was wasted has been building something inside you that this dying world desperately needs. Your scars are your credentials. Your survival is your sermon. Third, November 24th at 11:59 p.m. is your divine checkpoint. Not a deadline, but a threshold. A moment when heaven pauses to say, everything you've been through has led to this. Now step forward. But here's what I need you to hear with absolute clarity. You are not walking this path alone. Right now, as these words wash over your spirit, the God who set the stars in motion is moving on your behalf. He hasn't brought you this far to abandon you at the finish line. Romans 8:31 reminds us, if God is for us, who can be against us? And beloved, He is for you. He has always been for you. Beyond that, you have a family here. This community of thousands who understand your journey, who've walked similar roads, who refuse to let you face these final hours alone. We see you. We believe in you. We will stand with you in prayer. So let me ask you this. Now that you know your purpose still lives, now that you understand this isn't your ending but your elevation, what will you do when the clock strikes midnight on November 24th? Will you step into the calling, or will you let fear convince you to stay small? Before I release you, join me in prayer. Wherever you are right now, I want you to place your hand on your heart and let me speak over your life. Heavenly Father, I lift up every precious soul hearing these words. You know their names. You know their struggles. You know the weight they've carried in silence for far too long. Lord, I pray that you would breathe fresh wind into their weary spirits right now. Where they feel depleted, restore them. Where they feel forgotten, remind them they're engraved on your palms. Where they feel too old, show them they're right on time. God, open the doors that no human can shut. Provide resources they haven't even thought to ask for. Send divine appointments that will confirm their calling. Give them dreams and visions that clarify their next steps. Surround them with people who see their value and will walk alongside them without trying to dim their light. Most of all, Father, as November 24th approaches, let them feel your presence like never before. Let them know in their bones that their story isn't over, it's just reaching its most powerful chapter. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. Now, I need to hear from you. In the comments below, tell me what God spoke to your heart today. Are you ready for November 24th? Do you need prayer for something specific? Share your story because someone else needs to hear that they're not alone in this battle. And please, if this message touched your soul, share it with someone who's been feeling forgotten. Your grandmother, your neighbor, that friend from church who's been quiet lately. They need to know their purpose still lives. Thank you for staying with me through this entire journey. Thank you for trusting me with your time and your heart. If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell because November 24th is just the beginning, and you don't want to miss what God is about to reveal next. Until we meet again, walk in the confidence that you are chosen, you are loved, and your midnight hour is about to become your finest hour. God bless you mightily.